Monday, 31st of March, 2025. And in this evening's show, we purr over Saturday's superb 2-1 victory over Bolton in the local derby. Which adds a bit more fuel to the playoff fire, burning ever so slightly brighter and sets us up perfectly for tomorrow's night's win or bust game against Reading under the lights at Bloomfield Road tomorrow night. I'm John Aspinall, and this is the Seaside's podcast match reaction show. Blackpool 2, Bolton Wanderers just the 1.
Great tradition.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to the show on a Monday evening. We have a long-lost presenter, panellist, who works in those neck of the woods, and he's miraculously made a return to the show, Mr. Andy Grice. Grice, I bet you've been loving it today, up in the eastish areas of Lancashire.
I think there's a few from our friends on the M61. The bottom lips have been out. There's been dragging along the pavement of Bolton, and they've not been happy souls, that's for sure. They're seriously questioning their playoff credentials, I think, now. But let Wigan at them on Tuesday.
That's their big derby
The pie eaters, which the pies are a topic of the day after the Guardian article. For our baby friends down there.
Do you mean this Guardian article, Andy? Is this the one you're talking about? Preston attempts to bore Aston Villa to distraction crumble like pastry. Viewers, listeners, any Blackpool fan worth your salt, if you've not read this article by the legend that is this chap here, Jonathan Liu, I feel you're missing out. So get over to the Guardian. If he's got a Patreon, give him some cash. Superb read, Tim. I think you put it on our group this morning, or someone did.
The analogy between Preston and butter pies and how bland they both are is a great bit of sports journalism. That's all I can say.
Nick wasn't too keen to be stirring the pot, taking the piss, were you, Nick?
Not that. I just said it's a lot easier to do it when you're in the same league. You know, I think we'd all quite fancy an FA Cup quarter final, wouldn't we? Or fourth round, would do.
Not a butter pie fan, then.
I'm not a butter pie fan. Most other pies, then, yeah, I'm a massive fan.
Right, let's get on with the main topic of this show, which is Blackpool 2, Bolton Wanderers. I went in the south, Gracie, saw you in there. Have to say, fantastic experience in the south. Made even better by the fact you can goad them out at the end and give it a nice wave. So I enjoyed my experience.
Only stand that take on the away fans. We can't wave it. We don't just wave it from 50 or 60 yards away. We actually get involved with them and give them an experience that they can't forget.
It'd been good to have 4,500 of them waving at the north as well, but that's another subject. Right, let's go to the starting lineup. As the graphic says, pretty much as you were, Tyre at a fire, Casey, husband, Coulson, Evans and Morgan in the middle. The Raptor and Carey on the left with Fletch and Ennis up front. Tim, no place for Elkin Baygot injured there. Was it a bit worrying to see Hubby lining up in the back too?
It's more worrying that Baygot's injured again. He seems to pick up a lot of injuries, doesn't he? So that was a surprise, as was the fact that Bloxham still isn't deemed ready to start. Although as we're going to discuss, having watched him, I can possibly see he's not quite match fit yet. But still, nevertheless, a strong team. I think Rob Act has been playing quite well in recent weeks. He's been involved in in the build-up play for a fair few of better goals, I think, to be fair to him. Obviously, Fletcher's last week, and after the Evans crossfield ball. So yeah, not overly disappointed. I think Obi always does a job for me. I know he's got his critics. I think some people think he's reaching the end of the line, but for me, he does a steady job. I think he's reliable.
Nick, it's quite a strong bench. Bloxham, CJ, Silvera, and Pennington, the outfield players. So good to have those options available to us should we need them in that game.
Yeah, and as we'll come on to talk about, most of them they got time on the pitch in the second half. I think I'd agree with Tim that it with Baggett, it does seem to be a bit of a recurring thing with injuries, and it's a shame because he's a decent player and he's fit. He probably starts, doesn't he? I did think he might have maybe put Penn in. But again, Hubby's he's pretty solid. He's normally he's a 7 out of 10, isn't he? Most games. So, and then other than that, pretty much picks itself. It was just whether, as we discussed on the last pod, Bloxham was going to start ahead of Apter, but again, as we'll come on to talk about, doesn't quite look fit yet, but still looks a threat. So it was, pretty decent lineup overall, I thought.
Andy, anything to add on that lineup before we go on to the game?
No, Hubby scares me a little bit. I know he's wholehearted and he's fully in with us, and you wouldn't ever call him out for any lack of effort or anything. It's just that I worry that the ball's in just over the top of him, and teams seem quite clued into that in a lot of ways, and that's what worries me. Without Bagart, and I was probably like Nick was maybe surprised Pennington didn't play, but there was obviously a reason for that, because in the past he's picked Pennington, and he didn't want to drop Coulson, and but wanted husband in there because it's a derby. Who knows? That might have been a reason.
Anyone know what Bagott's injury is?
Baggett, I think he's turned his ankle.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He did say, Bruce said, didn't he?
Yeah, don't think it's too serious. Hopefully not anyway. He'll be back for the run-in.
Okay. First half. Let's move on to that. Switch the layout over. Tim, comes for you first. Firstly, fantastic atmosphere in the ground. I've put the first little comment. Great to have a derby like this back on a Saturday at 3 p.m. like it should be, and there was a real intensity and edge to the atmosphere, wasn't there, in the build-up and pretty much as the game kicked off as well.
Yeah, I think the most certainly at our end of the 61-55 divide. We perceive them as rivals. I think they were suggesting they consider Wigan a bigger rival, but to be fair, Wigan is really, really close to Reebok, what I still call the Reebok. Other than it'd be nice to have a few more people in there. I think both in the home ends and in the away end, to be fair as well. But no, nevertheless, the ground was in fine voice. You don't hear much from, as we know, when you're in the north, you don't hear much from the away end. The acoustics are quite poor from the point of view of travelling from the southeast corner to the north. So I think the first time we heard it was when they scored. But yeah,
that's really interesting to say that, Tim, because obviously I was next to them, and that's not the case at all.
No, it's just really crap acoustics.
Yeah. Do we ever get any information of why they weren't given more? Was it the police or is it something?
Nobody says, do they? But it's every other ground we were speaking about this on Saturday, weren't we? We go to Burnley, which is always a bit feisty, and there's a thin line of seats between us and Burnley fans with no netting up, nothing up, and there's always a little bit of agitation, but it's managed, it's policed, it's stewarded, and generally it passes off okay. Go to Huddersfield, the same. we have to put, the equivalent of the English Channel between home fans and away fans, don't we?
What's your
Actually,
views on this, Andy? I think Nick's obviously has his views on it. Andy, what do you think? I personally think they could have given him another maybe 2 blocks, not given the whole of the East, maybe give him half of the other East, and I think you'd get that interaction between the North and the away fans, and I just think it made it a much better occasion, atmosphere wise.
So people are saying it's about 60 grand in revenue, isn't it? But don't forget, you got to take the VAT off that, and when you're looking at that, then they've got to pay the extra police bill and everything else that goes on with it. And number one, it might be a logistics thing. But number two, might be a police thing. Might be because the police will insist that more police are in the ground. Many more police are in the ground with the extra 2,000, that it just becomes a waste of time for the club to do it. It might be down to that, because it's not like people keep throwing 60 grand out for 2,000 extra fans, but it's not. It's not. You have to take the VAT off, and you lose 20% of that, and so you got to be careful whether it all adds up, and it might be something to do with that. Alternatively, it might be down to that thing like the players were saying that the linesman on that side was getting influenced in his decision making, shall we say, when the away fans are all on that the north end of the East. I hate saying that, north end.
I got pilled for saying that once, didn't I?
North part of the East. I think the solution is long term, and I think like to think to look at it, because it is stupid to throw revenue away like that. Is do something in that southeast corner, and maybe don't sell season tickets in next block, and so for those type of games you can leave the gap there and have them curve around a bit or whatever. But it does. I know if the boot was, I know we could say, well, we don't want more than 2,000 away fans in, but the reality is we need to make money. There's quite a few games this year that we could have had a fair few more in, and if the boot was on the other foot, we'd be a bit cheesed off. I think if we went to a ground the size of ours and we're only allowed 2,000. Where we want 3,000-4,000, we'd be cheesed off. I would.
You see half a stand empty as well. Yeah, you would. Yeah.
But as Tim alluded to before, like Burnley do it. It's the same police force. It's the same police force. So what's the issue? Why is the issue? Like I don't quite get it. Our ground is. I don't know. They just don't like it, do they? They don't like the exits and everything else.
Dixon says, Andy, there. I mean, Premier League, we have 15,000 every game.
Managed it then. It'd just be nice to hear from either the police or the club as to what's driving this. Be good to hear. Anyway, on to the game. Nick, come to you. How do you think we started? Obviously, the goal coming on 13 minutes, but
not too bad. It was fairly even Stevens, I think, up to the goal, which had an element of fortune about it. But you take that, and Fletch is in fine form at the moment. Came to him quite quickly, but stroked the ball home, and happy days. 1-0 up, and you think, right, let's try and keep it going. But then I thought Bolton started to come back into it after our goal. Really, I thought I've talked many times about winning the midfield battle, and I think kind of after the goal we
they goals a bit.
Yeah, I just think they were quicker to it after that, and Evans didn't have his best half of football, and we didn't really get a grip of it, after the goal. But yeah, decent enough start and well worked corner and decent finish from Fletch.
And
They
they obviously,
dominate possession when you look at those stats, don't they?
Yeah, they didn't necessarily do loads with it, but it was just a little bit worrying just how much they were starting to boss it.
We tried that corner though so many times, and originally when we started doing that, it was Evans to Apter, and Apter just couldn't get his head around it. I know he's in one of the players' interviews after a win we had. Evans taking the mick out of Apter because he was saying it's really hard. It's really hard skill to hit a volley from a corner.
So some of it can go wrong very easily, can't it? That corner.
Yeah, and then they went on to Morgan doing it, but we haven't scored from it, and that's the first time we've actually had a goal from it, and we've tried it a few times. So it was due, wasn't it?
When it goes wrong, you're kind of saying, "Why didn't we just put a cross in the box?"
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Ash Fletcher, Tim, continuing his rich vein of form, easily hackable and missable that chance, but he just stroked it home, passed it in, didn't panic, and scored his 11th of the season. I mean, what a turnaround!
Yeah, massive. And just before we talk about Fletcher, also, I think what we are seeing is we're seeing the midfield shooting, and these opportunities come from that. I think obviously is it Morgan? I think who has the original shot. But Carey's shooting from outside the box, and you will get bounces, and as it happened there, and deflections off, and it falls into people's paths, and he looks clinical at the moment, doesn't he? He looks like he's got a smile on his face. He's confident, and he's probably scoring as many goals as he's done at any point in his career, I would have thought. And again, one year was it at Middlesbrough where he scored a few, but if you tot up over what game span these sort of 8 or 9 of these, or probably 9 of the 11 goals he scored have come. It's in a relatively short period now, so he's looking like a 20-goal season striker at the moment, which is what we want.
What turnaround!
It's a different player, isn't he? Different player from from the one we started. Just going slightly back, just on the lead up to the goal, the lead up to the corner, it was actually a great job by Carey, as you alluded to there, Tim. Carey having a crack, and the guy he blocked it, but only it just flew over. And but that was another case in point of us having a go. We're not scared to have a shot now, and that must have come from the manager, sort of just saying, just have a go. You never know.
It's a bit better than getting fined for having a shot, isn't it? Under the previous regime,
Yeah.
Allegedly. Nick, Mark's put a decent comment in there. Maybe this suits us better having less possession as we were better on the break than breaking a team down, almost like an away performance, wasn't it?
Yeah. We've look at the away form. We talked about it last week, didn't we? And how much it suits our style of play when we can hit teams on the break. And yeah, I don't mind that at all. I think it does suit us. I had a look on Bolton's forum, and quite a few of them were getting frustrated at times with just how much they were kind of like you say, possession for the sake of it, perhaps over elaborating a little bit at times. Whereas, yeah, I don't mind us having 30% possession in a game if we do something more with it. But with our chances, it's no good if you just have it and don't do a right lot with it. But as I said before, I did think that they were just a bit sharper to it in the centre of the park. We've talked a lot about needing that, and you could see it again at times on Saturday where you just need somebody to take a little bit more of a grip of it at times, just to it's to break the play up and get us going again, because I thought we were missing that. And then you come on to the Bolton goal, and it's another ball into the box and a relatively free header, and it's as I said on the last show, it's a little bit of a worrying trend.
Andy, over to you. The Bolton goals, Nick said, are pretty much a carbon copy of multiple goals we've conceded this season. It was one of those where you're looking at it and you're thinking it might just hit the post, and come back out or go wide, but it agonisingly went in. However, it was on the cards for me, and I think it's pretty hard to argue against Bolton deserving that equaliser at that time in the game.
Feels like Kerry's a one-man band to head it out, if you like, and I think that's the advantage of having Baygot is he's just another presence, good aerial presence. If you remember back earlier on this season, we got beat a few times by Fletcher getting beaten in the air, didn't we? And to concede goals, especially a couple of late equalisers, I think, at home. But in defence, it feels like Carey's a one-man band to head it out, to be honest. Whether that's a positioning thing or whether it's just we don't have the right people, who knows? But like Carey seems good. Casey, I keep saying Carey. It's Casey, I mean. Sorry. Casey seems a one-man band. And he does brilliantly, doesn't he? Every week in what he gets out, but he can't do it on his own, and that's why I worry about Hubby. He just gets beat too many times in the air.
He's just not big enough, is he, Hubby? He's competent in there, but he ain't a proper centre half, and maybe we want to be looking at putting Pennington in there if Bagot's not fit for Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Tim, I've put in my notes more Bolton pressure after the goal and happy to go in level at half time, ? I noticed Bolton were, all their players were sprinting in at half time and they were kind of cock-a-hoop and they looked more dynamic to me. So it was I think it's one of those times when a boxer's a bit not on the ropes but under pressure, and you're good to. It's a good time to hear the bell go for half time.
Yeah, I mean, without saying prophetic, I was actually saying that we need to regroup. You know, we needed Bruce to sort of get it organised. We looked a bit ragtag and bobtail that last 10 minutes in the first half for me. And to be fair, Bolton are a good team. You know, they're not where they are in the league. And you know, they've been consistently up there, haven't they? You know, they're a good side, and they're going to take points off teams. So, you know, it was quite worrying. It was a bit one way traffic, wasn't it? And you know, to be fair, just going back to their goal, I thought it was a great header, and right in the corner. And I you know, I feared that we would go in losing that, and I think if we had, then it would be very difficult to come back. So it was great to see us hang on, and it allows Bruce then to, you know, get people focused again, get people, you know, doing things a little bit differently, and thinking about how when it comes about, it can change it to, you know, to dial it up a bit. So, yeah, I think we were all, it was a sigh of relief, really, wasn't it, that we got to half time on level terms.
Onto the second half then, Nick, where we did come out a bit more bright than the back end of the first half. Talk us through the Sonny Carey non-pen, because it was a bit difficult to see down my end.
I didn't think he's kind of gone past the play, and I don't necessarily think it was an out-and-out dive. I think a bit of it was just kind of momentum, but I didn't think it was a penalty. Me and Jim kind of both looked at each other and went, no. And then it's just the ref's decision whether he thinks he's tried to do that deliberately to buy it or not. And obviously the ref did, and he's given him the yellow, which was maybe a little bit harsh. But it wasn't like in Stonewall territory for me. It's sort of minimal, and I think he's probably tried to make the most of it. And a lot of players do it, but I didn't think it was a penalty. I know obviously everybody screams for it, don't they? But there wasn't really anything in it for me to give a pen.
Was the booking harsh also?
Well, yeah, possibly, because like I say, it was maybe just a little bit of momentum from Carey as well. But like I say, it wasn't a pen for me. I think the ref got certainly the non-penalty decision was probably the correct one.
Okay. And again, down your end, 6 minutes later, the winner's gone in from Niall Ennis. from our vantage point in the south, it was weird. It was a slow motion event.
It was.
It was like, I don't know what it was like down your end.
The same. My first instinct was, it was a great ball from Morgan. Again, great vision. My first instinct was, I thought he might have been offside. I think I've not seen a clearly level replay, but there's a lot of people saying left back was actually playing him on, and I think he was. But my first instinct was, has he slightly gone to a split second too soon there? But fair play to the linesman. Yeah, and then when he's lobbed it, my initial thought was, he's done a bees there. He's put it over, and it did seem to hang, and I was like, oh, where's it going? And then it's dropped into the net. Happy days, yeah. You know, a great finish from him. He's a composed player, isn't he? And yeah, like I say, happy days. And you know, you look at the linesman and make sure he's not giving it. But a few of their players were protesting, but not all of them, which makes me think, you know, perhaps one or two have realised that that he was on. So yeah, it seemed to take an age to go in, but thankfully it did.
Tim, you're back in the thick of it in the north, I presume. What was it like when that hit the back of the net?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I was initially pretty convinced it was offside, and but when I've seen it back, their left back, there's some lines across the pitch, isn't there? Their left back is playing him on, and actually, when you also watch it back, probably the one player who knew he wasn't offside was Ennis himself, because he just went straight into his gymnastic routine, didn't he, with his double flip, which is great to see. Reminded me a little bit like Loire, wasn't it? When he used to, I remember him doing that at Leeds and a couple of home games as well. So, you know, a bit of theatrics, but it was, you know, he showed Beasley how to do it, didn't he? Certainly. And it was absolute pandemonium in the north. It was great to be in there and be part of it. But there was a pregnant pause. I think you can almost see it on the playback as well before people react to it, because either they think it's offside or they think it's going over the top.
Andy, from our vantage point in the south, it's great to be near the away fans, isn't it, when something like that happens?
It's the first time I've done a 50-yard sprint this season.
I did see this flash at the front of the concourse. I was wondering what it was.
It's like 50 yards in 2.1 seconds. It's just Schumacher got interviewed on BBC Manchester Sport, and the interviewer's first question was the winning goal looks offside, and Schumacher closed him straight away, and he just said no. I've looked at it. Our left back plays him on. That's it. No, I'm not having it. I'm not having you saying it was offside. It wasn't. So fair play for his honesty.
Schumacher's style of football is completely different to Evert's, isn't it? The Bolton lad did say on the preview show they're a different proposition under Schumacher. I think that was pretty much evident, and I think it did show in the.
But the lads I spoke to, who came into work, seemed to say that he got mixed up. He got a bit of Everett style in with the play on Saturday, and it was a bit of a throwback to the passing around a la Critchley, Everett, and whatever else style that bored them to death. And they thought there's a bit of that crept in on Saturday, and he's usually a bit more direct.
Well, that's interesting.
But like they'd obviously worked on playing the ball in that worked for the first goal, because they played 3 or 4 of those second half as well. But we dealt with them better second half, although obviously that wonder save at the end.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Andy. There's another wonder save before that.
I won't. But
wonder save. Let's talk about wonder save number 1 first.
Wonder save 1.
That
that
snapshot
was-
from Morley in front of us. It was a shot
Yeah.
out of nothing, wasn't it? Which makes
was.
Tyra's save even better.
It felt like to me like it almost saved it. He got his arm very close to his shoulder to get as much coverage as he
Right.
could. To get it, it wasn't like an outstretched arm as such. It really covered it across, and it was a really good save because that bounced up, and it could quite easily have gone in. It's a very, very, very difficult shot to save, and it was a really good save.
Yeah.
He almost looked, Andy, like a wicket keeper with it, didn't he? You know, when you see
I know what you mean.
the way he got down so quick, it
Kind of
almost like
scooped it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It was in. You know, he saved one at Burton, and like I was right on the shot, and he just appeared from nowhere and just and saved it, and I just it felt something similar because I just thought this is in,
So
that's in,
yeah.
and he's he's just he's just getting better and better, isn't he? He's just getting better and better. Tyra just starting to really look the real deal now.
I mean, it wasn't long after we scored as well. That would have been a huge momentum change in the game had that gone in. So he's really stepped up Tyra at that point of the game. It was a fantastic moment, but not almost. An even more. How can we describe this? What's the word I'm looking for, Tim? When they hit the side netting.
Oh, it was joyous.
Joyous.
It was housery. There was so much housery going back to them.
The unusual bit about it was
Oh,
sometimes when something like that happens, a few think they've scored, but the whole stand did, didn't they? It was like they were full on. It was like there was limbs and everything going on.
But do you know what? If you watch
if
you watch the highlights, I watched them again before, and it does look like it's gone in for like a second or two. So you can kind of see why so many of them, because kind of Tyra's just rooted, isn't he? Kind of looks to side, and it does look like it went in, like it had gone in. And I think it made it all the more sweet, didn't it? The fact that the whole stand was celebrating probably longer than normally happens.
It was a full limbs celebration as well, Nick. It was full limbs.
Probably like 3, 4, 5 seconds, whatever it was. It was like, it's not in. And some of them didn't realise even after that. Yeah, happy days. Yeah.
And the North then start doing our goal celebration chant,
Yeah.
don't they, back at them, which was quite funny.
Tim, what did you just say then? What did you say?
I just said the North started doing like
Oh, you
our
said
goal
North
celebration.
End. You said North End.
Oh dear, right, did I? Oh gosh.
Yellow card.
I'll have 2 butter pies for my supper.
Yeah, force fed a beige butter pie. but Andy, from our end off, I was sat to the right of it, so I knew straight away it hit the side netting. But you can see why, particularly people in the north and in the east, when you're at a different angle, that it had gone in. But it was almost as good as the Ennis goal. That.
Oh, yeah, honestly, even my little grandson, he was just giving it large, going, yeah! He just loved it. In fact, like you said there, it was almost, I think he enjoyed that almost as much as our goals. Yeah. It was so funny. It was because it wasn't a few that went up. It was proper goal celebrations, and then they all just piped down, and you just don't know what to say then, do you?
Yeah. Well, you don't say anything. You just laugh. You laugh and smile and wave. That's what we were doing.
Yeah, I know.
Nick, Bolton were turning the screw at this juncture in the game, and I think Steve Bruce had had enough and wanted to make a change. Brought on Tom Bloxham for Rob Apter. I think the obvious change to make, really, to give us a bit more of an impetus on the right hand side. I think he made a difference.
He did, yeah. Like I say, even though he doesn't look fully fit, he's still got this ability straight away to drive at players, and it's weird, isn't it? Because he's such a big lad. He just seems to glide past people. And he certainly made a difference when he came on. I think it was the right time because, like you say, Bolton were turning the screw a little bit. There was a couple of balls that kind of flashed across the box, and you just kind of like, wow, how's no one got a touch there? So I think it was the right sub at the right time for me.
Tim, more Bolton pressure than 82 minutes, more substitutions made. CJ for Ennis and Silvera for Fletcher, and as Nick's just said, I've put in my notes several more dangerous boxes just whipped into the box. Thankfully, no one on the end of them. So it was pressure from Bolton, but no clear cut chances. So did we manage it well, or were we just kind of lucky that they didn't put the right ball in?
I mean, look at those stats. That they're very stark, aren't they? There can't be many times when, as a home team, we've only had 25% possession. I know it's what you do with it as well, but you're riding your luck a bit there, aren't you? To be fair, so but did I feel really worried? I'm always a pessimist, as you know, and I always feel that we're going to concede one. But I think the defence played well. We've spoken about Tyra playing well, and it's. I think the point that was made before is a valid one. That we're more comfortable playing almost that way because that's what's brought us the most success this season, where we do sit back and soak it up and then hit them quick on the break.
I just wanted to say goodbye to my Bolton friends and neighbours before I left, and so I'd gone down to see them, and I was in the right hand corner when that one flashed across the front, and hubby nearly headed it in his own net, and lucky enough missed it. And I mean, it just flashed across the front, and it was a brilliant ball in, and just no one to turn it in. It's just, and then
it's the intake of breath moment in it where you when those happen.
Honestly, I nearly had an accident as that went across. It was just like so close, and then it hadn't finished. Then had it? It was just like we had that big chance for the big lad. Oh my God, that header again! That ball whipped in.
Just before you go on to that, I want to highlight CJ's defending in the 88th minute, a melee in the box, and who the hell gets up there and gets his nut on it, barges people away. CJ, I was rubbing my eyes like, so was that CJ? So every man was up for the fight. If anyone remembers that, I do.
Yeah,
it was a must-win, wasn't it? We had to win. We had to win.
Yeah. Weathered that storm, Bolton up for another corner, Nick, and Tom Bloxham breaks free. Was it? Hang on a minute. I'll rewind. Was the save? The save was just before that, wasn't it? Yeah.
With the header, and again, it's a great reaction save from Tyra. I think the first one probably edges it for me, just because it's coming through a crowd of players. That first one, wasn't it? And he's probably seen it late, and the way he got down to it. But nevertheless, not long left. You're thinking, is that the equaliser? And he's pulled off a tremendous save, and it capped a fine performance for me, if not probably his best or one of his best in a Blackpool shirt. When you look at the whole game, he was more confident on crosses. We haven't mentioned a couple of times in the first half where he's come off his line in between a few players and commanded his box and caught the ball. So that's probably given him some confidence. And I just think his all-round game was very, very good on Saturday, and that was another absolutely crucial and class save.
And the fact that he's learnt the songs and he sings them.
Yeah,
heard about that.
Yeah, that capped it off. Probably.
We've been noticing it down the south for a lot longer than probably you guys in the north. but he's the most passionate guy, and he wants to win more. It feels like more than anyone, and he's so passionate, and he's there nearly every week, singing along or tapping along to the songs, and it was right at it at Barnsley, for instance. He was like right at it. It hurts him when we lose, eh?
I liked the bit, Andy, when they were shouting, or the Bolton fans were shouting and chanting at something, and he had the ball on the right hand side, and he blasted the ball at them, but against the hoardings to get it back, like really aggressively. Do you remember that? Oh, brilliant! When he did that.
And Alan Dickinson said he was joining in the Bolton get battered us in the next phase of play that we're coming to, which is great to hear.
Right, Tim, talk us through that then.
Yeah, well, I think it was Morgan who was down near the touchline, and he actually chipped the ball out quite well to Bloxham. I think it was on the left hand side, and he started his gazelle-like runs, cuts inside a bit with defender snapping at his heels, and there was we'd created a 2-on-1 situation, hadn't we? With it was to the right of him. I can't remember. It was to the right of him now, but we effectively had an overload on them because he'd moved forward quite quickly, and then defender decides he likes his shirt, likes a bit of tangerine shirt rather than the white one, and hauls him back. And in a scenario where we would have had a great opportunity to score. Really, there was I think a bit of frustration on amongst the team that it was what we call in walking football a dogzo, denying a goal scoring opportunity. So, but it was generally was. I think there was a chance to be had there. So the ref gives
the goalie wasn't in his net.
Yeah. I've forgotten about that, Andy, to be fair. But there was only one player.
That's why he got sent off.
Right.
Because there was no goalie in. Did you see Bloxham? Bloxham was apoplectic. He was going to red. He was going mad.
It was to the right of him because they were going ape as well. Whoever was to the right of Tom.
There was no goalie in, and then he gave him the red, and Bloxham started applauding.
Yeah. I didn't know whether did he upgrade that, or did he get something for dissent? I think he upgraded it, didn't he?
No, it's fourth official apparently.
Right. Okay. I thought that. I know. I saw Tom Bloxham applauding it because it was cynical, wasn't it?
You can see on the replay, you can see a few of the players pointing at the goal, saying the keeper wasn't back. So maybe the ref, I don't know, didn't realise at first, but then has corrected it because, like you say, it's so cynical, and you think it is more than a yellow, even though there's still a lot to do. It's just so blatant, and the fact that there isn't a goalie there, perhaps makes it more likely he could have got a shot off. So, fair play. At least he's realised and changed it.
They're gutted, by the way, because he's been virtually their best player, I reckon. Recently, he was on loan on here to Wickham, I think, earlier on this season, and Bolton got him back. But they're really concerned that now he'll miss the Wigan game, and he might even miss more. Might he? Would he straight red? Would he get? It's not foul play, is it? So it only be a one matcher, that one.
Yeah,
it might be. If it's 3 games, that's a bad miss for them.
Bolton not fighting the red, so that says it all, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I did hear Schumacher post in his post-match arguing against it, saying that Bloxham's not gearing up to get his shot away. But how can you line up your body to get a shot away when someone's like nearly pulling you over from your shirt? So
yeah, it was so cynical, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was the right decision. Alan Dixon just said Bloxham said in his post-match the ref changed his decision. So yeah, it's good to see an error corrected. One sub at the end, Pennington for Jimmy, just to wind the clock down. But fantastic scenes as that whistle's gone, and great to wave the Bolton fans goodbye away at the end. And It's all up for grabs now, isn't it? We've done what we needed to do. It was hard work, yes, Tim.
John, you've forgotten about Fletcher and Ennis giving the North a fisting.
Didn't see that.
Didn't you see it?
No.
Oh no! Ennis and Fletcher gave the
Critchley style. The Critchley style.
A three.
Critchley style. He had the two of them. It was a little like when Gabriel and Joseph did it. Critchley left. I think the other thing that was noticeable was as we were sort of exiting the stadium afterwards, all through the concourses and under the West, everybody was singing. So there was, I can't remember the last time I heard, maybe Preston, maybe a few years back. You don't normally, as you're walking out, have the whole crowd still singing songs, do you? But everybody was well up for it, weren't they? Which is great. And I think I'll have to keep predicting losses, aren't I, at this rate? Because the next 7 games, maybe, and see how we go. Because my 2-0 defeats has egged them on and spurred them on to greater and better things.
But isn't it great that with the season still alive after we'd all written it off 5-6 games ago?
Really.
We've written it off several times, haven't we?
Yeah, we're top form team, aren't we? Then we look at 5 games. I think we're clear, and if 6 we're joint with Birmingham, which is and when you bear in mind that loss is the Orient game where we have the highest XG ever in League One that doesn't win the game. It could quite easily be a bit better as well. So we are on a run officially.
Right, player ratings. Let's start with Andy. 2 absolute world-class saves from Harry Tyler right in front of us. Give us your score for Blackpool's number 1.
On the fielding mechanism, I don't think we can give him less than a 9. I think that's probably fair. Look, if I was being really picky, it's his distribution sometimes is a bit average, but look, he was excellent. Maybe it wouldn't be a miss to give him a 9+, would it?
I
was thinking 9+.
I was thinking 9+. Yeah,
it was excellent. It was excellent.
Nick,
and his Housery gets the plus.
Nick, you can have a fire. I've started chanting for him the old Des Walker chant. You'll never beat Des Walker. I think it works well with the fire, and I think it's a never truer word.
Yeah, another very good game. He's a bit of a man mountain, isn't he? And very difficult for players to get past him. He's all over them, and also good going forward as well. He's a threat when he goes on those runs. And it was another decent game up against a decent opponent as well, to be fair. So I will say an 8+.
Exactly what
because he goes on those runs, that's why I've always thought he might be a holding midfield player in time. Because he
certainly
carry the ball.
Takes the pressure off as well, doesn't it, when he goes on those runs?
Yeah.
Okay, Tim, Ollie Casey. Mob's man of the match. Is it yours?
Yeah, well, I thought he was superb. We've had so many superlatives for the way that he's played this season. He's probably, I think, been our most consistent player. And you mentioned the stats again. You only have to see how much pressure is placed on the defence over the course of the 90 minutes. And I thought as a group of 4, they did incredibly well, but he was the pick of them. So it's a 9 from me.
Okay, over to Hobby. Andy, I think he did in an unfamiliar role.
He did all right. I'm just not convinced, but he did all right. 7+.
Yeah, that's fair. Nick, Hayden Coulson on the left.
Yeah, I'd probably give a similar score, I think. I like him going forward. He does worry me a little bit at times defensively. But I think overall, particularly when we're playing on the break, he looks to get the ball forward at every opportunity. I think it was his miscontrol that went out, didn't it? That then led to the ball coming in for the for the Bolton equaliser. But yeah, I'll say the same score, 7+.
Tim, Rob Apter, a few dangerous moments in the opening stages of the game, but faded somewhat after that and hooked after 73 minutes.
Yeah. I listen. I thought he did all right, but it was inevitable. I think that he would be the one that made way for Bloxham, at least initially. 7, I think, is fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Andy, over to you. Lee Evans in the middle.
Not so good first half, but better second half. Very tenacious second half. You got booked first half. Does that incur a ban or not?
Does make you play within yourself somewhat, doesn't it? If you're a centre mid and you've been booked, so maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But no, he was at it second half. His set pieces are not what they were at the start of the season. Let's be fair.
No.
8.
Albie Morgan, Nick, the pick of the midfielders yet again, and one of my contenders for man of the match. He's involved with both goals.
Yeah, he's got great vision, hasn't he, Albie? And he's probably in the conversation with player of the season as well, possibly. Thought he had a very good game. Great ball for Ennis in particular. Great vision. I will give him a 9.
Tim, over to you. Sonny Carey, not as involved or as effective in his previous few games, but a decent performance nonetheless.
Yeah, I think it's a solid one, isn't it? And again, it's difficult sometimes when the opposition has got the ball as much as Bolton had to sort of impose yourself on the game. But I think he suits that counter-attacking style that we've seemed to have mastered, and he's involved, and he's I don't think there's any doubt at the moment that he should be in the team, which is great because I think 3, 4, 5 months ago we wouldn't be saying that, would we?
Yeah.
So I think it's I'm going to give it 8. I think it's fair.
Okay. Right, Andy, over to Ash Fletcher, goal machine. Another to his tally. 11 now for the season. Ooh, Ashley Fletcher.
Boom, 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 boom. Well, you're in the room, Super Ashley Fletcher. Where are we? He's doing so much better than he did. His link-up play is good. Finally taking the chances that if he'd have took those easy ones at the start of the season, he'd be on 20 now. 9.
Finally, Nick. Niall Ennis ran his socks off as per usual. Constant harrying and a brilliant finish, showing Jake Beasley how it's done.
Yeah, another great game from him, and like you say, he runs himself into the ground and fantastic finish. So I'll go the same score as as Gricey's just given for Fletch, and I'll give him a 9.
Okay, do you want to do Steve Bruce, manager rated? Tim?
8+.
Gricey?
I think half-time changed the game, and there was definitely a shift in the way we were trying to defend against them second half. So for that reason, I'll give him 9.
Nick managed very difficult opponents. Well, kept them at arm's bay and did a job of them, really.
Yeah, and like I say, probably subs around about the right time. I think Silvera maybe didn't perhaps have the impact he might have been hoping. But yeah, certainly I think they've obviously realised in the first half that Bolton were getting the upper hand, and whatever he said to them and what we've done differently in the second half has worked. So I will match Tim's score and I will go 8+.
I just felt Fletcher had gone at 70. Legs had gone at 70. He looked really getting towards a lethargic at 70 minutes. So I thought maybe he could have gone a little bit earlier. But like, you can't moan in general, can you? Bruce invariably talks the way we do about the game, so like, we can't complain too much, eh?
Certainly can't. 4 wins from 5, top of the form league, the last 5 games anyway. And what a time to be hitting that kind of form into this. Reading at home tomorrow night, a massive game. And who thought we'd ever be saying Blackpool v Reading is a massive game? It's normally an instantly forgettable game against opponents no one really likes playing, and it sets it up perfectly for a night under the lights tomorrow. Reading unbeaten in 11, 6th in the
Quite
table.
a record, that, isn't it, as well in itself?
Yeah.
They've beaten some games. They've beaten some good teams in that run as well.
Yeah.
Beaten Wrexham, haven't they? Smashed Peterborough the other night, but lost at home to Exeter, I noticed. And I delved into the stats, and Exeter were kind of, they didn't lose, sorry, they drew, but they were worthy of a win there, Exeter. So it could be a bit hit or miss. And if you look over to the XG table as well, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but they are punching above their weight on the XG metrics. They're 18th. So that kind of suggests to me they're very clinical. They don't create that many chances, but with the chance they do get, they stick them away. So how's that going to play out tomorrow?
Hopefully not after the Lord Mayor's show. Hopefully.
We've just got to win, haven't we? We can't. If we have any pretensions of grabbing that 6th spot, we have to win. If we lost, that would be over, wouldn't it? So, because then there'd be what would there be then? 8 points between us and them, with them still with a game in hand. So, I mean, that's I would suggest is pretty much unsurmountable. So I think you could afford to drop points somewhere, but you can't afford to drop points against Reading.
It's technically a 6
I think
pointer,
they take a point now. I think they take a point now.
Yeah, they would.
Like, we have to win. So, like, at least the management and players are under no illusions. We've hit last chance saloon with these games, I think, and we have no choice but to beat them tomorrow night if we've got any aspirations about the season being elongated.
Sort of a word timid used to describe the extension of the season, Andy.
I've had the dictionary out. Don't I?
Just trying to get up the screen again. Just want to show you the away form table. There we go.
And just while you're talking, waiting for that to come up. Sorry, they have got some injuries in defence, by the way. If, we could take advantage tomorrow. Their away form's not great either, so let's not be think they're world beaters, because they're not. We just got to go in, impose ourselves on them.
And they've also got this off-field stuff. There's talk of a protest, but there's also talk that they may not make it at the end of the season. Which you don't see any team to be in that situation, but they've got that hanging over them as well, haven't they?
To be fair, they're doing well to be 11 unbeaten, aren't they, with all of that going on as well? Because, like you say, it's looking it's looking a bit grim off the pitch, but obviously not letting it affect them on it.
Reasons to be cheerful, though. They're not great away from home. Played 18, won 4, drawn 7, lost 7. So it's going to be a draw, isn't it?
Don't put the home form table up.
We're actually surprising, Nick. You know,
We're getting better, you know, Nick.
we're surprised.
It is. Yeah.
15th.
And like you say, we're top of the form table at the moment. Like Gricey says, you just hope it isn't after Lord Mayor's show. So many times you kind of, with Blackpool, you go, right, it's set up. If we can just do that, and then wouldn't it be, we'd all probably be going to Rotherham on Saturday all of a sudden. You know, there'll be a big following, and it would just be great if we can do it tomorrow night and then go into Saturday against Rotherham, who I think potted Steve Evans at the weekend, didn't they? Yeah, but we need to get Reading out of the way first, don't we? And I don't think it'll be an easy game. I don't necessarily think it'll be high scoring, but like you say, it's last chance, isn't it? We keep talking about the season's over. It's a burning ember, and then the light flickers a bit more, and then we beat Bolton, and all of a sudden you're looking at league tables and fixtures, and it just keeps going on, doesn't it?
Is it that we've only lost 3, I think, since about November, haven't we? I think
it.
so.
I mean, we're not really
all 2-1 to Wrexham, where it was a phantom penalty. Stockport, where fair enough, that was we lost, but we were certainly the better team first half by miles. And Orient, where we battered them, and in their words of their manager, like they didn't come anywhere near deserving to win that game, Orient. And so you look at that and you just think, like, come on, lads. Like we're a good team. We're a good team. We just haven't been clinical. And we've been a bit soft at times. Yeah, it is. Yeah, draws have killed us. Yeah. But like, you know, if we can get a bit of luck, get a little bit of luck and ride this, like, you know, our fans know what this is like. We know what this is like to have an end of the season where it's all on it. So if we can beat Reading tomorrow night, and then we know what it's like. We know what's needed from us as well. We know that support is needed, and a fanatical support is needed in the back end of the season. The players have just got to ride the wave then.
Right. Round the room, gents, before we go, how we're going to get on in this must-win game. If we do win, we're going to be 2 points behind them. However, all the teams above us have a game in hand, but we can only beat the teams that are put in front of us and do our best. And as Tango has just said, there's always one team that comes from nowhere, and who better to do it than Blackpool Football Club? So round the room before we go, Tim, gives you match prediction. And are you going to be using reverse psychology again?
No, I think you can overuse the reverse psychology. So you've got to save it for special games. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win.
Gricey.
3-1.
Yeah.
Don't ask me who to.
I'll go for a scrappy 1-0 to us.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a draw. They draw a lot away from home. We draw a lot. They're unbeaten. They're grinding some good results out. So I'm going to go for a Tim-esque reverse psychology draw. But isn't it great to have this to look forward to tomorrow night?
Yeah, it is, because there was a few, probably a month or so ago, you're thinking, Reading it on Tuesday night, that's not getting the blood pumping, is it? And all of a sudden, you can't wait for 7:45 tomorrow.
Absolutely.
I went in the Anfield before the game on Saturday, right, and it felt right. It felt like it was back to how it should be. And the Anfield was busy, everyone excited. It looked right, and like, you sometimes get a feeling, don't you, and you think it's right. So, like, hopefully, fingers crossed, that sticks with us to the end of the season.
Yeah, I was I was in there afterwards, and that feeling was in there again. I always remember walking into the Excelsior when we went on that run to get to the Premier League, and the mood was similar then. So yeah, let's hope the boys can do it tomorrow, and we can continue the season on Saturday. Right, yeah. Bison's just said no chance. Just to keep it.
Wonder where you'd been. Finish on a positive.
Yeah, Mark's just saying, shout out for the Exiles that hosted in the Armfield. Yeah, it was a bit busy, Mark. It was absolutely packed and stunk of hot pot, but it was a great event for the Armfield. So well done, the lads there, and to Higgy. He was dishing out the hot pot and the red cabbage. So well done to everyone there. Right, yeah. Finally, thanks again. Thanks, guys, for coming on. Thanks, everybody, for watching the show. And all I said is thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for downloading. And up the pool against Reading. Go on the pool.
Oh, Ennis again. Ennis again. Ennis again. Ole, ole.
Ennis again.
South Stand will be in full voice tomorrow.
Been involved in 2. Can he make 3? Not on this occasion. Well taken by Walsh. Davis is on the far side. Ainscough coming square. That's the ball. That's a good try.